I'm curious too about teaching, which you mentioned, and you teach at Manchester Metropolitan. So maybe you want to take an opportunity to do a little plug there. But I'm also interested, I know that you've taught through Malika's Kitchen at the university. You do community teaching, you've taught in the schools. Here in Harrisonburg, you went to the high school and the middle school, you taught faculty. When you teach poetry, especially in those like limited encounters of like one class session, what do you try to give to the students? What's the thing you're trying to impart that they can walk away with if they're not used to that for an entire semester right over here?
Well, first of all, at the heart, I'm a poet evangelist, right? So my thing is that that when I leave, I've converted somebody to poetry. That's a kind of personal thing, and that's also when you read. You have some friend who dragged somebody kicking and screaming to a poetry reading, and they're like, oh God. And then at the end they go, I didn't know poetry was like that, and I think, God, our job is done. In terms of teaching, I think about fun. And then I think about what is it that this group needs at this precise moment. Not everybody really likes poetry. Not everybody wants to be a poet. But what do they need? Sometimes you don't know your needs. So one of the things is they might need to hear poetry that's contemporary, that challenges what they think poetry is about. They might need to be given permission to say, I don't like this or I like this, and not have to think about what the poem is saying. I also think, how can I be in here as an artist and not as a teacher, as an artist, as a teaching through craft and practice. And then I think, what are the skills that are transferable? So they might want to think about image making, or there are people in here who might have problems or find it challenging to face the blank page. So what strategies can I give them that I know that they can use if they're creative writers or playwrights or artistic, that it's like, yes. And if they're not, they can go, oh, this is something, I didn't know it would be this easy. I didn't know that this is how you could do this. If I'm working with groups who are migrants, what can we do that can enable them to feel in control of language and to feel that and to enjoy this feeling with poems? So it might be that I find poems that are in their language and in English, and they read it in their language. So in that way they become an authority, and they tell us in the translation we can talk about, what is left out, what is not there, because it's not capturing it enough. And they get a sense of that they are authorities on something. Because a lot of times people think, you don't know English, because English is very self-centered. So I think about the clientele that I'm teaching, and what are their needs, and what do they want, and how can I facilitate that, and facilitate a learning that's a life learning and a skill that they want, but also, at the heart of it, like an advertisement, kind of evangelizing poetry.
Nice, thank you.